But quickly, Coatesville Youth Initiative, we've been in Coatesville now. We're going on our 16th year. And there's 4 areas of what we do. We're called the Youth Initiative. So obviously the first and foremost area is youth empowerment, or youth leadership development, or youth development. And that encompasses so many different things. That's the crux of our programming though. We also do some focus on parental engagement, because obviously you can't really affect youth unless you really try to strengthen that family. So we do some family and parental programming. We also put a big focus on what we call prevention. And in our prevention field, there's 3 areas of focus: violence, substance use, and mental health. And we do prevention, but we also do some intervention within that, which is a part of, you'll see me talk about in a second. And the other piece is community collaboration. So we run a coalition, and our coalition is all about anyone who feels they serve youth, want to serve youth, love youth. You come, and the idea is we come work together, pool resources. And a piece that came, I'll talk about again, one of the outcomes through that and through this seed project is we've implemented some things around mental health and support. So I'll talk about that. The one thing I did want to add about CYI that many people don't know is we are a gap filling organization. We didn't come to the city, we're not intent on, hey, let's do more mentoring. And I bring mentoring up because so many of our donors ask, do you do mentoring? It's like, no, these other agencies do. But one of my good stories is there was an agency who came to us and said, hey, we're a new funder, donor. And they said, we want to give you X amount of dollars, and do you do mentoring? Now, I could have said, yeah, we do mentoring based on, kind of this program kind of does mentoring. I was like, no, we don't do mentoring, but I could tell you 3 agencies who do mentoring. They went to those agencies, gave them funding, gave us a bonus check for funding because we were open and honest and told them that we didn't do mentoring and where to go to get mentoring. And now they support us in other ways. So I guess the key there is be honest. Don't try to, and share the wealth. That's really the big crux, share the wealth. Sometimes if anyone went to yesterday's event, we are in competition. People see it as, but you're actually not. We're working together to look at one common goal, and that's supporting youth and supporting this community and having make it a greater impact. So just a few of our programs, just so you give an idea of what I talked about. I said one of our focused areas was youth leadership or youth development. And that's kind of our flagship program. We do a program called Service Corps, and Service Corps is kind of what I'll talk about today with this project. It's our leadership and workforce development program. So basically, we work with high school students, 14 to 18. And the ideal is simply a minimum of 40 youth. They go to what we call host sites, but they serve as interns in the summer at different agencies. And a few of these agencies are here: library, YMCA. So they go to these agencies and they learn workforce skills. So they get to do the things that the Y is doing, the library is doing. But they also, one of our criteria is you have to have a strong supervision. So they're also mentored in a way so that they're learning these are skills you need to have to be an effective worker when you get out of high school and go on to something like OIC, and then that's the next step. So that's a big piece of what we do is the Service Corps program. We also have a program called Bikes for Coatesville. We give away bikes, we refurbish them, we bring the community and other youth in to fix those bikes. One of my favorite programs, probably because it was the one that was near and dear to me, I started. We have a Camp Quiet Thunder, and it's just a camp for elementary kids, but it's all about helping them, one, to see the beauty that is in Coatesville, because a lot of people don't know the Brandywine watershed, which runs through Coatesville. And there's just a lot of beauty, outside of, people just think of just the city, and we try to tell the city kids, you're responsible and you're a part of anything 19320. That's your community. So you need to enjoy things like Hibernia Park, which is just a few miles away, but so many of our kids have never been there and seen that beautiful park. Other couple of things we do, we have a youth council, we have a mental health youth council, and we have a homeless resource closet that in partnership with the Coatesville School District that we handle. We do a mental health screening and referral program where simply we work with youth to provide screening. And what's unique about us is when you get screened, we do one of 2 things. And we didn't develop this tool. We don't really grade it. It's based on this tool that's out there. And once we assess it, one of 2 things happens. We send them to what we call pro-social opportunities, because some kids are just struggling with life. and they don't necessarily have a mental health issue. They don't rate at that level on this assessment. Some kids do, and they don't know it. So then we push them and refer them to a professional therapist. And then what we do is we do some case management. So we make sure that they have the insurance or they get the cost covered, et cetera, et cetera. And then we follow them through to make sure they're getting those services. Because one of the things, if you've ever dealt with the mental health realm, especially when it comes to youth, often you're dealing with youth who are in other areas. They're having issues with this, they're having issues with this. So they have another counselor or advisor in this, they have an IEP or whatever. The challenge is they're already dealing with the mental health system for youth especially. But then you add the other components and they're not talking. So that's where we come in. We make sure if they have some truancy issues or they're working with the juvenile justice system, is your person talking with your therapist to make sure that you're getting the help you need fully and not just in one piece of your life. And then finally, I'll just mention this because I forget the name of the agency that did it, but great agency, the food program. We do work through a partnership with the Bridge Academy we do a backpack drive, the same with them. And through that, we get about 500 to 700 families, and we provide backpacks full of all the school supplies that the school district requires for those students. So with that in mind, I think I can actually start what I had planned to start. So our Seed and Scale Workforce Development and Mental Health Support Program. So that title came from told you how I am a little bit. When we saw the opportunity for this grant, one, we truly saw it as a seed opportunity. And whenever I think seed and have gone through seed grants, my view is let's use the funds, if we can, to incorporate something new into something we might already do to see if we can keep that going, but honestly see if it'll work. You know, that's a challenge sometimes. You start these new programs and then you realize after you spent all this money building this whole program, it's not effective, it's not impactful, et cetera, et cetera. So our ideal was to take our workforce development and incorporate some mental health support within that. The project is aimed at combining mental health and workforce development to support healthy youth development. The way we do that, there's three primary components, and you'll see kind of from our data, I won't present as much data as I would typically, because I am a hardcore data person. But we have an 8-week summer workforce development program for youth, kind of our service corps program. But within that, part of the seed part is we're adding an 8-week mental health awareness and support component to that. So one of the things I didn't mention is 4 days a week in our workforce development program, the students are actually out at those host sites doing the work. Every Friday, they come back to our organization and we give them what we call life skills. So one of the life skills we wanted to incorporate was mental health support because, once again, not just us, because that's what they've asked for. And that's one thing we try to do, give the students what they ask for. The other part of our grant in this program is a school year-based internship program for high school youth. So one of the things we wanted to do was give youth more time for the workforce development. And this is that example of, let's start slow. Instead of bringing in 20 kids, we want to bring in 2 kids, and we're bringing them in actually from our service corps program. And the idea behind that, once again, they actually come to our organization. We have a structure. It's typically 2 hours a day because of their scheduling, obviously. 2.5 hours, I'm sorry. The first hour, they actually get some kind of training. So we specifically sit down and say, it might be something like, this is how you write a resume, this is how you interview, so prepare you for your real next stage of workforce, but it also could be something more workforce specific. The next hour and a half, they're working on a project, so they're partnering with us, they're shadowing someone, and they're actually going through how we do what we do. So for example, it might be working on social media marketing, which they're all interested in. So not only do we have them mimic or shadow our development and our marketing person, but we also bring in a professional marketing social media person that we work with. And then we have them not only learn those things, but then create a project. So they create a social media piece for us that we really will use, and they get to see the benefits from that. And then we wanted to provide a year-round mental health support for high school students in a one-on-one and a group setting. So some of the outcomes we were hoping to achieve and we are going to achieve is youth acquiring workforce development skills. And you'll see there how we plan to gauge some of those. Job readiness, that's huge for us. One of the things the youth have told us is and the youth are what we call our alum, is after they've gone out and even whether they've chosen right after high school or even college, they say sometimes, definitely out of high school, we're often not prepared to work. We think we are, but we don't know the full realm of what it means now you're entering a full-time. So not just the job aspect, but life aspect of what it's like to now take on a full-time job. And many have said even after college, we weren't ready for what work life was like. Yeah, we got the academic side, but we weren't prepared for that. So that's a really important piece for us, the job readiness. Then of course, as I said, awareness of mental health. That's the preventative side. We really want to start first with getting young people aware of mental health. And obviously, as we all talk about often, breaking that stigma that it's okay if you have mental health issues, questions, concerns. And then more of the intervention, direct mental health support. And we do that through, like I said, our intern. It's a grad student intern from Westchester University. And he or she, right now it's she comes in and she works with students one-on-one. Currently, she's working just on, if you want to call it CYI students, which is up to 500 kids we work with annually. But the next phase is we're going to open it up to the entire community. And we just wanted to roll that out slowly because we know, sometimes those things happen slow. No one comes to your door. But we've also learned sometimes you'd be surprised. People will come knocking down your door. So we want to be ready for both of those. And in some instances, we weren't always ready. So successes, challenges, and our next step. Some successes is the 8-week summer program is on schedule to begin summer 2025. So that's what I was saying, why statistically, we don't have this wealth of statistics yet, because the crux of our project is in the summer of 2025. That's when we do the workforce development and we do the mental health one-on-one support and group training with those students. But we are currently working with 49 youth in that 8 summer program. We've had 2 high school interns begin, and I use that word purposely because that has been a success and a challenge. And now we have 2 high school interns on board. Our full program has been developed, and what that means is we really have a strong, and it's a part of why a seed grant is so important. We really were able to take the time to develop a program for our high school interns, as opposed to what we've learned in the past. You can't just bring a high school kid in and say, have an internship. One example is simply, we want you to do these 8 things. We're going to teach you how to do them, and we're going to give you 2 weeks to do them. 2 hours later, they're going to come back done and be like, what's next? And you better be prepared, and we weren't always prepared to say what's next. So now we have this full curriculum. We worked in partnership with someone to develop, and we're really excited about that. One of the other things we're really excited about are the partnerships we've developed. With the school district, we're working on the school district has been working on like a high school internship program. They already have one. It was originally focused primarily with, I guess, the technical side of things. What do you call it? Carpentry, plumbing, those kind of things. But they've also shifted to looking at other organizations. And one of the things we're hoping, and we've been in talk with, is through this project specifically, because we had to approach them of, we need high school students to be let out of school. Is that possible to do these internships? So we're excited about that partnership that that has been flourishing. We have had 1 round of group sessions, 4 weeks, and that went really well. We've learned some things, and but it was a really great success. And once again, we have the 40 youth program on schedule to begin, and we have a full curriculum for their group individual session work. And then the other thing we're excited about, I should have kind of put it in partnerships because it fits in as well, is with the work we're doing with Westchester University. We are working on a partnership, and I wrote it down so I have the name, because I don't want to mess up the name, because once again, having someone from Westchester University in the room, I don't want to insult and mess up stuff, but we are working with out of the College of Education and Social Work, the Department of Counselor Education Clinical Center. And what that center does, which is just great that a college does this, is they provide their grad students who are in the mental health and going into that field, specifically counseling. So they're already up here as far as academics, is they provide them basically internships, but usually their focus is at clinical sites. What we're working for is to be included, look at nonprofits and other organizations like ours to be included as sites with their support or with our support, meaning the clinical side of support, because obviously you bring an intern in, they need that technical support that CYI couldn't necessarily offer. I'm no therapist or clinician, but we're really excited about that because that's moving along. And one of the things that came about from that conversation is I was invited to, and I definitely will botch this title up because as I'm learning at colleges, but Westchester specifically, even within a college, there's 8 million advisory boards. So I was invited and joined the School of Education and Social Work's, I just call it advisory board, but I know there's like 20 even within there. But one of the purposes is just that. It's to look at how can nonprofits support, specifically nonprofits, support this mental health side of that technical piece. But it's also to help support, amongst other things, it's also helped to support how do interns, what does it look like when an intern actually serves at a nonprofit? That there's some missing pieces. So that leads me to, I think, some challenges. I'll jump right to the one side. The mental health work is challenging, and those studying in the mental health arena are very susceptible. We learned that firsthand. We had a young lady come on board. Obviously, I'm not gonna say her name and all that stuff, but she came on board, and she's from the mental health side of Westchester University. She came as our intern, and she began working with our youth, and she started doing some one-on-one and group work. So we call it support work because they're not yet at the therapist level. And it hit her hard. And she literally broke down, and she couldn't continue. And once again, it really woke us up that, wow, like, even though you think these young people, adults, they're in this field, they need support too. So that was one of the things I was able to take back to university. And we had a really great discussion on, and I forget the technical name, but basically it was safety working at these sites, but also then it was support working on the site. And the colleges, it seems, already have a lot of these things built in. But it was interesting, I think, for them to hear it from someone who went through it and how it affected our organization. So that was one of the challenges we had. And I think I just told you how we've kind of overcome that is working with the university now. And when we get interns, we have this checklist now we go over with them that we work with the university to make sure a student, one, is aware of what they're doing, and also of any challenges they feel. And basically, we kind of break down, do you have any mental health issues? That's kind of we don't ask that in a direct way, but it comes out in a direct way because they're usually open to say, yes, are my issues. The other thing we ran into, the challenge was scheduling and approving high school interns. Like I said, although we worked with the school district, and they were like, wow, great idea, we'd love to be on board. What we didn't get was something written and a formal okay to say, yes, we're gonna allow kids now to come out of school and do this program like they do at the technical school, et cetera. So what we did, because you don't have time to wait in these kind of grants and programs. So what we did in that case was we went directly, looked internally, did we have any homeschool students and that whole world of homeschooling? So we reached out to a parent who's in that world, she made us connections, and so now one of our interns is a homeschool student. So she's able to come during the day, schedule's much more flexible. But then we also, our other intern, high school intern, still comes after school now. So we were able to kind of adjust our schedule so that she's there 90% while we're still in the office. But then there's a small segment where she's one-on-one when we're out of the office, but she's working with one of our staff. And that's when it's going to be more of that project work. So it still fits into the schedule, the agenda, the curriculum we have. But those were two of the challenges. And We're really excited because meeting the high school intern challenge meant, which we've often had to do at CYI, we don't have to wait on the school now to make their decision. We're able to implement this full fidelity of what we had planned to do without having to wait. What's next is obviously implementing our internship program with our 40 youth, implementing the summer mental health programs workshop. We're really excited about that. Beginning a new high school internship year-round program. Like I said, focus on homeschooled youth. Bringing on additional, I shouldn't say new, an additional college intern as a part of their field study. That was actually a new big focus of. We really wanted someone who that's their focus is mental health and that support. And then one of the big pieces we are working on that we're not quite there yet is that evaluation timeline. You know, I'm preaching to the choir, but you all everyone knows here, if you don't have a strong evaluation at the end, you're guessing as to whether you really had an impact or not. And for me, at CYI, as the leader, one of my jobs I tell them is, when we spend money, I gotta be sure that that money we're spent and gonna ask for more from whatever these donors are, that we can show that we're having an impact. And even in not just showing to them, but that we are having an impact. You know, what's the point if you aren't? So that's what we're doing, that's what's next, and I think that's it. That is it. So thank you all.